Okay, tracking a helmet onto a head. That's a great question. So we're going to start the same way we did, before. Open up a new motion tracking workspace, and I'm going to load in my footage here and make sure that I've got the frame rate set right. And there's a couple weird things about this because here, actually, let me start it prefetching. It takes a second for it to load it into RAM. You still have to give the how do I explain this? So we can just start going in and putting points right on the face and track that, but what Blender will assume is that these points are part of the environment and that it's the camera moving and it's the object moving. And sometimes you want to, like if you're setting up a light environment, you don't want the whole camera swinging around. So to do the object track, first we have to track the camera, and it's pretty easy, but it does mean you have to. Normally, Blender can infer a lot from the motion of the points and go, oh, this is your focal width, this is your lens distortion, and all that. Since all of these points are stationary, you have to give it some of the information. So I'm going to click on some of these points here, and let's see. Yeah, I think I can get away with even just doing 2 or something like that. And is there anything else I need to? I think I'll just do it and click track. And there we go, 4 tracks, not doing anything, just how we like it. Go over to solve, and I'm gonna say this is on a tripod, and I'm gonna tell it, I'm gonna have it refine nothing because it doesn't need anything. I actually, before I clicked that, I probably should have gone over to track here. There's the camera settings. I happen to know I'm shooting on an A7 III, which has a sensor width of 35 millimeters, and I had my my lens set to 24 millimeters, which is as wide as it goes. So with those in there, this should actually give me a reasonable result right off the bat. Yeah, I've got a solve error of 0.18 because these have a little bit of wiggle in them, but that should be totally fine. But if you don't know these numbers, I don't know how well this works. I haven't really tried putting in the wrong numbers. Maybe I'll try that at the end here. But let's go to. Let's assume you have these numbers, and I'm going to go over into object tracking. So here we've got, let's see, objects. We've just tracked the camera. We're going to add a new object, and that's going to be, can we name it? Yeah, my friggin' head. And for the, I'm going to go back up into track. And for the motion model, it's the motion of the points. It's actually not the motion of the camera. That's a little bit confusing. But I'm going to use affine. I've never heard that word said aloud. It just seems to be the most adaptive to distorting surfaces, which is what we want right now. So I've made life difficult for myself, where all of these points disappear and all these other ones come in. So we're gonna have to deal with that because that's how shots are like in the real world. But I'm gonna start kind of here where we can still see a bunch of them, and I'm just gonna start control clicking on here and scaling up so that it covers this whole dot. Just getting as many as I can. We only need 8, but I like to just let's see how many good ones we can get. Look at this setup. This is wild. I've got some weird stuff on my head. Honestly, I feel like these ones on my face probably would have just done it. But let's, like, I kind of wish I had some more on my cheek here. But let's hit track backwards and see how it goes. Hey, these are working all right. All right, I'm gonna go to the middle here, and I'm going to track forwards, and actually I'm gonna go back. I hit escape. I'm gonna go back here and add some of my own points. This is a tricky situation because we're literally losing all of our points and then we're gaining a whole bunch of new ones. So we have to do this whole handoff. But that's the type of situation you're gonna end up a lot when you're doing stuff like helmets and head tracking. Tracking humans is sometimes significantly harder than tracking like just camera movement. So let's see how this all goes if I keep going here. All right, we've lost a lot, but that could be all right. So a lot of times, like this one right here, it looks like it just kind of dies for no reason. It just gives up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the last frame where it's alive, and I'm just going to scale it up a bit, because what it's trying to do is it's trying to compare the target pixel pattern it's looking for was set way back here, back when it looked very different. And so by just tweaking it a little bit, we're saying, hey, use this pattern instead, and we're basically just updating the pattern. At least that's my understanding. Let's see. Are there any others that disappear that maybe could have held on a little bit better? Oh yeah, and once you scale it, you should be able to just track to the end. If there's ever a point that you feel, let's see, I want another error. This one doesn't seem to be doing very well at all. Also, look at how well it's tracking right there on the edge. That's wild. Okay, this one should work. Sometimes let's set Alt S and it shows you this is the search area, and so it's only looking within that box. And in this case, the box is big enough, but sometimes it'll just be like this small, and so if it moves more than like a handful of pixels, it's just not gonna find the pattern it's looking for. So in this case, I'm just gonna scale this, I guess, down, just change things up a little bit and see if that, yeah, there it goes, tracks to the end almost immediately. And I feel like this might not be enough right here, so I'm going to select all these new ones, and I'm gonna try just tracking them backwards. Yeah, just so we have enough of an overlap. We need 8 at any given time. Cool. And then here's our graph, and this should show us if we have any troublemakers. Like this squiggle right here. What's that one? Yeah, that's the one we were looking at. I don't know if we need it, so I'm just going to delete that. A lot of times when tracks disappear, like they go out of view, they'll glitch out a little bit. And in this case, I actually, let's see, what's this one? That one's going a little bit wild for a second, but maybe that's okay. I'm actually trying to find a problem one and not particularly finding it. But what you can do, instead of deleting the entire track, you can just find the part, like let's say this one, when it first comes in, it glitched out. It didn't, but let's say it did. We can just go to where it becomes confident and hit this button, which deletes everything ahead of that point. So we just delete the problem area, and we don't have to delete an entire good track. Alright, so I think we have everything we need. I'm going to jump over, uncheck tripod, check keyframe, and solve camera motion, and we'll see what it comes up with. Solve error, 0.72, right off the bat. Okay, that's great. So I'm not going to make life any more difficult here. I'm going to set up background, should pop it up there, set up tracking scene, and ideally the camera won't be moving, but these tracks, that is great. This is just working. I'm going to grab this whole thing, here's the camera, and I'm going to rotate it, this whole track setup, so it kind of more matches just the setup I actually had, where I'm looking up slightly. Okay, cool. So one weird thing is that these dots, it has no idea where, if this is like a tiny object really close to the camera or a big object really far back. And fortunately, in this case, it doesn't particularly matter where it is, because it's just going to be the same thing, just at different scales. But we can change the scale here and just scoot it a little bit further away from the camera. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to jump over into layout now, and everything is set up. It's just all invisible because we have to go in here and turn on the motion tracking overlay. And we can change the size a little. All right, and so there it is. If we go into the camera view, we can see our dots, which I don't think they're prefetched anymore, so it's a little bit laggy, but that's because I'm doing 4K. You don't need to, but in this case, it's nice. I'm gonna create a monkey head, and this is where it gets really fun. Shade smooth. We're gonna set up a constraint, and this is all you gotta do. Just go over to Object Solver. The object is my friggin' head, and the camera is camera. And constraint set inverse. Do it. Yeah. I don't even know if you have to click set inverse, but I'm just going to line this up with the points here. And so this would, be your helmet model instead of a monkey head, but that is effectively how you would do it. And you'd want to, match the lighting and all of that, but Yeah, this is very cool. I've actually never done this before, so this is this is pretty fun. I'm slowly becoming less scared of Blender tracking, and it's really fun. Being able to track the camera and objects in the scene at the same time is so cool because it just means you can do anything. You can half build props. You can just build the part of the prop you have to directly interact with, and then just digitally extend the rest of it. It's pretty cool. So, anyways, yeah, I hope that helped. Not the easiest thing in the world, but also not all that hard. So, have a good one.